Well, we're giving all the love that we can here to our guest in the neighborhood. He is a cabaret legend in New York. By the way, I'm not a cabaret legend in New York. I'm just a Jewish legend in New York. I am Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And it is a thrill for me to be chatting with the one, the only, the berserk, because I see that behind you on the poster there. Ricky Ritzel, five-time MAC Award winner. He has been called the you're shaking your head. It's like 20 wins, or more than that. That was from an old article. First of all, by the way, I need you to unmute your microphone so we can hear you, Ricky Ritzel.
How's that, better?
Oh, it's so much better. And welcome, shalom to you, Ricky Ritzel. How you doing?
I'm so glad to be here. So, your eminence. You were
Your influence? What was that? I missed that.
Your flatulence, whatever you want to use.
If you've ever smelled my flatulence, you never elevated with me. But Ricky, so how many MAC awards is it at this point?
As of last month, 22.
Mit Mazel McGlick. Which was your favorite MAC award? Is there one you're most proud of that you won for?
Well, I won the very first year they had them in 1987.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I've been going out for a long time, and I mean, it's been so much, a lot of work, but a lot of fun,
Have you won Bistro Awards too?
5 or 6, I don't remember.
I was saying, after the first Bistro, after the first MAC, I have no room on my shelf. Did I win another one of these fucking things? Oh, just put this in the attic. God damn it. I was like, so to describe what you do, essentially, you yourself are a cabaret performer, but you also you serve as the musical director, if you will, for other people's cabarets. So who are some of the folks that we will have heard of that you have accompanied over the years?
Oh, well, I've played for everybody from Julie Wilson and who else would you know? Arthur Prysock. You know who that is?
The name rings a bell. But Julie Wilson, she was on this program before she died.
Was wonderful. Wasn't she great?
She was a man. And she was actually on the program after she died. She was not as good.
Yeah. I'm a friend of Joey Reynolds, who was on the radio.
Yeah, he's been on the show. We know Joey.
And when he was on NBC, WNBC, he would call me if he needed a piano player. So he had Arthur Prysock on, and Arthur Prysock wanted to sing what he's known for best, and that is the Lowenbrow commercial.
Let it be Lowenbrow.
Here's good friends tonight is something special. I played that for him. Yes.
So, oh my gosh! Yeah. No, I'm excited by this. I don't know why, but I am. So Arthur Prysock, Julie Wilson. Who else? Come on, you must have.
Vivian Blaine, who played the original Adelaide in Guys and Dolls.
Yeah.
Ruth Warwick, who was the first Mrs. Kane in Citizen Kane.
Wow. So, stop right there. Did she tell any stories about being on Citizen Kane and working with Orson Welles?
She thought he was wonderful. She thought he was just terrific, and she was such a trooper. We did a benefit at a disco called The Tunnel, which was in. It's hard to describe because you know how the High Line has taken over, where the trains would come in with and this was a building where the train actually went into, where there were train tracks in this building. And they turned it into a disco in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And we were doing a benefit there, and we had time to kill. So she said, well, let's go to a diner. We came out, and I mean, it was over on like 12th Avenue. And it was just, you walking over syringes and broken bottles. And here I am with this legend of the screen walking through all that. And she didn't give a rat's ass. She loved it. She was just like, fine, let's go eat and come back. And,
But were you playing, were you a DJ at the disco, or you were working? What were you doing there?
No, I was playing the piano for her. We were doing a benefit at the disco, yeah. Like at 8 o'clock, they would do a benefit, and then It
Oh,
would turn into a disco after 10 or something.
New York is so crazy. I've
Oh,
got.
it was wild, absolutely wild. So, I mean, yeah, I played, I can't even think of the amount of people I played for. Because with even in piano bars, when people would get up and celebrities would come in the piano bar a lot.
Well,
You
so
know,
do you remember? Was there one time you were ever starstruck when you're playing and you're doing your thing, or for someone, and then you look in the audience and it's like, oh, there's Son of Sam or whoever.
well, the John Gotti came in once, I remember, and
John
give me a
who?
John Gotti,
Oh, oh, wow. Okay, yes.
and it was like 2 in the morning. This is back, and it was during a weeknight, so there was hardly anybody there. So he came in with a few of these lovely ladies and put a $100 bill in my cup, and that was, whatever he wanted, he could have.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah, those women. I mean, well done, sir. Well, yeah. So when, how did you get to the place where you are one of the rare people? I mean, a lot of people make money or make some kind of living as a musician. You know, they're not necessarily in Carnegie Hall or they're not necessarily in a rock band that's making millions, but you've managed to carve out a very difficult niche of making a living as a cabaret nightclub. How and how did that start?
Well, the thing is, doing your own show in cabaret, you don't make money. You really don't. I mean, you're putting out a lot of money by hiring. If you hire more than the piano player, it gets really expensive with the bass player, the drummer. I mean, the piano player alone is not cheap.
Right,
Between rehearsals for, you got to rehearse between 20 and 40 hours to put a decent show together.
right.
And then it depends how many shows you do and publicity, and the club takes a nice big chunk of change from you. But I mean, the
So you're
living I'm
lucky to
making.
break even if you.
Oh no, yeah, you usually don't, but you got to keep doing it. That's the thing, is longevity. Um, I make my money as a musical director, as a piano player, not as my own, not as
And
the
then
own.
your own cabaret. So,
Yeah,
someone else doing a cabaret show who is willing to lose a bunch of money will hire you, and you make a profit off their loss, which I get. But did you ever become a musical director for like off Broadway or regional theater, or did you ever do pit stuff?
I've never had any desire to do that ever.
Okay, so you just want to play one. Were you an audition pianist? Have you done that?
Oh yeah, I've done that. When I first moved to New York, I worked for Barry and Fran Weisler,
Oh, okay.
and a friend of mine was one of their secretaries, and she hired me to. I was everything from a boy Friday to a mail clerk to an audition pianist, and I mean they were doing a production of A Christmas Carol with Richard Kiley, written by Sheldon Harnick and Michel Legrand. It was going to tour, and I don't know where this show went because it just disappeared. And I was audition pianist for them for that, and that was quite an experience.
Why? How was it? Do you have any stories? Because Sheldon Harnick, God bless him, he's still alive. He's been on this program too. I'm just name dropping.
Oh, he's a great guy. He's so down to earth. It's amazing.
Yes, yeah, that's so. But what story? I mean, working on this Christmas Carol that never came to fruition, different from the Aarons and Flaherty one that ended up coming to like Madison Square Garden years later.
Right.
But
I don't know. I mean, I've never seen anything of it. I mean, I think it actually went somewhere, but I don't know where. And it disappeared them after they cast it.
they brought it first place to Israel. Worst idea. That's the one place like, oh, let's bring it to Jerusalem. No one came, and they opened it on a Friday night. I mean, just everything possible you could do wrong with a Christmas Carol show. Just not a good idea. Can I ask you? But again, like you knew. When did you realize that you had? Did you take piano lessons as a kid? When did that?
Oh yeah. I took private lessons, classical piano
Mm,
for About 13 years, actually.
And was it a chore? Were you one of those kids where you learned it, but was it a chore, or was that what you look forward to all week? And like coming home from school was crappy, but oh, I get to play piano.
Evidently, when I was like 5, my parents, of course, were watching the Lawrence Welk show. And I walked up to the TV as a kid, a little tot, and then pointed to the piano player on there, who happened to be Big Tiny Little.
Big Tiny Little, I love that. Yes.
He was on before Joanne, what's her name? Joanne
Worley? No.
Joanne Castle.
Okay, yeah.
I say this because Joanne Castle
had castles in
oh, yeah.
I get it. Yeah, all right. I get this.
Big Tiny Little was playing, and I said, I want to do that.
Yeah, I've got to say, my wife nicknamed me Little Tiny Little on our honeymoon. It was not good. not happy with that nickname. I'll tell you that. But you saw this and you say, I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy who's tickling guys.
Yeah. And then they bought a really old secondhand piano in case I didn't want to do it for that long. They didn't invest that much money. But our piano teacher, my piano teacher, lived a half a block away. He knew my parents from when he was a kid, and ended up being a professor at Duquesne, which I think he's still there, at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I'm from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, I'm still, oh, God bless him. That's, yeah, all right.
And then when college became an issue, I decided I didn't want to be a concert pianist. So I wanted to go in the theater. So I wanted to be an actor. So I went to the Pittsburgh Playhouse and did that. And that's.
So wait, you got to tell me, what did you play any parts of or in college or in the Pittsburgh Playhouse?
Oh yeah, I did everything, Shakespeare and T.S. Eliot, and I did tons of classical theater. Because I was a character man, and they had very few character men.
Did you always have the raspy? I know I was born with this voice, but did you always had that? Yeah.
Yeah, as a kid, it was just a little higher. It was just it's the same voice, but it's.
What was your favorite role though that you got since you didn't become an actor past that time? What role of all the ones you did in that period, that fertile period?
Oh, it was so much fun. I mean, I played everything. One of my first roles was playing the guy who sells the God machine in Woody Allen's God. I was Phil Silvers, basically, because I had the glasses that had no lenses. And I said, hey, you want to buy a God machine? Here it is. Exactly. I love doing that. And, nice. Yeah, exactly.
Are they great? Oh my eyes.
I remember Phil Silvers doing that once on Tomorrow with Tom Snyder, taking his glasses off and just putting his fingers right through them. I did Midsummer Night's Dream, and actually I was the third priest in Murder in the Cathedral that T.S. Eliot wrote about Becket being murdered, and it's in verse. But I was the monk that had to open the door. We did it in an actual church, a huge Gothic church.
Well, site specific even back then. Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. And then I had to open the door for the soldiers to come to break in and kill Thomas Becket.
Right.
Well, they're very, very anxious about this. So I opened the door and they knocked me over.
Oh.
And after that performance, I called them. I said, "You sons of bitches, you do that again, and I'm not going to lay down. I'm going to come and follow you. I don't give a shit what the play says, but I'm not going to be happy about this if you do it again, because I could have got killed."
Yeah, you could also. I'm just not going to open the door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's going to live, so fuck you.
It's like, oh no, Thomas Becket is not. You're looking for Samuel Becket. You have to take a plane to Ireland, kill him, come back. You will be here. We're talking with Ricky Ritzel here in the neighborhood. I'm Rabbi Sol, of course. Let me ask you. So you have played for so many people, new and no. what are one or two of the mistakes that people who say, "Oh, I want to do a cabaret show. I can sing. I love these songs. I want to share them with an audience." So the first or second cabaret show, what are common typical mistakes that so many newbies make?
Trying to do too much. You're trying to do. I mean, I'm all for pushing the limits. I think cabaret is right now is too safe. Cabaret was made to be a protest, basically. I mean, it started out as making fun of the upper riche, the upper classes in France and in Germany, you know. But yeah, a lot of I try to guide people when I'm playing for them. I mean, they usually have a director, but you have to really be careful about not overreaching.
By overrating, do they plan, and it turns out to be an hour and 45 minutes, or do they pick songs that are not right for their register, or?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, for the past 12 or so years, I've been making a living as a piano player for classes, cabaret classes.
Oh, yeah.
That a friend of mine started, and then she passed away, and her girlfriend took over, and she's doing it now. And we have classes on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 6:30 to 8:30. About 6 people in the class, and after 8 weeks, you put on a show.
Right.
And they sing 3 songs each, and we try to show you the mistakes that you have to avoid. Like you said, like doing the right material. Whether you're going to do a show that has a theme or no theme, I mean, I try to dissuade people from doing, well, my Aunt Harriet's here. This is her favorite song, You don't need this.
Why? What's? I know you like to push the boundaries, but what's wrong with that if they do a great version of Aunt Harriet's song? I mean, that's kind of.
Well, I mean that's fine, but you can't do a whole show of that,
Well, maybe Aunt Harriet has good taste. Maybe her favorite song is Boogie Oogie Oogie, followed by a Kendrick Lamar thing. You don't know. It could very well be. Don't discount Aunt Harriet there.
Well, see, that's sort of the problem with the cabaret's been going through for the past 40 years. I mean, any club now will book you if you can guarantee an audience, right, and it's all Aunt Harriet's. They can do that once,
And then you've got to build up a clientele. How do you get?
Yeah.
In this day and age, how do you even just Facebook friends? How does someone go about finding strangers who are going to come in and spend $25 cover charge plus 2 drinks to hear you sing a bunch of songs, and you're not Karen Mason and you're not a Broadway star?
Well, Dave, if
Rabbi Sol, excuse me.
I'm sorry, Your Eminence.
Thank you. Much better.
If you said right now you're going to get yourself booked at Don't Tell Mama, I guarantee you, whoever, I'd say 10% of the people that watch you regularly will come to your show every single week.
All right, let's do it. I'm doing this.
I guarantee you. I mean, that's how you do it. It's one of these things where you get an audience either from on the internet is the hot spot now, because do you realize there's agents out there that will not take actors unless they have 3,000
friends on Facebook, and they do it.
Exactly.
Understand? Because I know if 10% of the people who watch this show, they would come to Don't Tell Mama and protest outside the theater. If I was just like, you've got to be kidding me! You got to fumigate the place after he's gone. I'm just saying.
I would say I have a fruit stand on the corner. Just
now, Ricky, let me ask you some other questions. You've been doing this for so many years. What was like one or two of the worst hell gigs that you've ever, where it's just like you're sitting there at the piano going like, oh God, no.
Um, well, I mean, it depends on me whether the performer was a nightmare or the one thing that came to my head was, do you know Jamie DeRoy?
Of course, yeah, she's been on the show. Yes.
Jamie,
Does she put money in my show? No. She produces every fucking thing on Broadway, but she doesn't do my show. But yes, she was on this program. Yes, what about Jamie DeRoy?
when Jamie was only performing back in the 80s,
Yeah.
I traveled with her to California to do a few gigs. And we were booked at a club in Sacramento, which is, like 3 weeks in Peoria, which I also did.
Okay.
But Jamie and I, we went to the club, which again was a disco after 10 o'clock, but she was doing a show at 8. And the owner was there and he welcomed us and everything and then showed us the stage. And I'm looking around and she's looking around. And finally she says, and where's the piano? And he said, what piano? And she said, this is my piano player. You just met him. He plays the piano for me. They were so used to singers bringing their tracks.
Oi.
So they went across the street to rent a piano at a store that they did all the sound stuff from.
Yeah.
To bring it, which reminded me that I read a story that Dooley Wilson from Casablanca.
Yeah.
He was booked after Casablanca. He was just so popular, and he was booked in a club. And he walked in, and then they said, "There's the piano." And he said, "Well, where's the piano player?" And then they said, "Well, don't you play?" He goes, "No, I don't play the piano. I only sing." That's not me playing in that movie. That's not me playing.
I did not know that. This is new to me. Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That would not have occurred. I just assumed that he was sitting there singing as time goes by. No. Whoa.
I still never found out who it was that played that.
Huh. I didn't even. This is news to me. But tell me another something where like something maybe there was a fight in the audience or someone died or another night of cabaret that you will never forget, even though no matter how hard you try.
I can't think off the top of my head that are horrible that I wish had never happened because they're all really amazing experiences,
Or funniest, or
I did for a few years. My friend Leslie Anderson, who has since moved to Florida, which means
Jewish. I mean, it just. Are you Jewish, by the way, Ritzel?
I'm not. I was an altar boy,
Yeah.
But all of my friends are Jewish, and my ex-wife was Jewish.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Let's also talk about, because people may not realize that you were married, which is a surprising thing for a while. You actually, you had a son as well.
And yeah, well, I did. Yeah,
posting on Facebook. How did you get over that? How did getting over losing that?
Well, you don't get over it. You get through it. You keep getting through it. And it's been 12 years. Yeah, it's been 12 years. And, we mark the anniversary. We go out of town. I've been waiting now for 3 years because the pandemic cut in on the 2020. We were about to go to Eastern Europe to go to Vienna, then Budapest, and then Bucharest. And I was going to take his ashes because we always spread his ashes somewhere, So I was going to take his ashes to Dracula's castle because he would have loved that and sprinkled them at Dracula's castle in Romania, in Transylvania.
Nice.
No, I think the minute my husband or my partner now and I found out that, well, first of all, we found out that he had been working on a cruise ship and with 5 other friends went to go cliff diving on their day off in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But to get there, they had to go through this river. And the signs all over the place says, don't go through here because there's lava tubes that just suck you in. And that's what happened to him, and he was missing for 5 days. So I when the water was mentioned, I knew it was over. He wasn't going to come out of this. And I think we decided we're going to keep going. You decide subconsciously or consciously whether you're going to stop living and just stay in the house and never leave again, or you're going to keep going. And we decided to keep going.
I mean, as a former altar boy, I mean, how do you reconcile with who when something like this happens?
I still pray. I don't go to church that much, but no, I always got scared because my mother grew up during World War II, and she lived in a suburb of Pittsburgh on a hill. And she said every household had at least one boy in the service during World War II. And there was a family that lived above them where they had 2 boys in the service and they lost both of them. And the mother was never seen again. And she never left the house until she was carried out in the 70s. So like 30 years, the woman never left her house. And that scared the living daylights out of me.
And this is before QVC. So she really had nothing to do.
It's Dave. You're Reverend.
I'm not Dave. God damn it! I'm Rabbi Sol. Yes.
It's still the hardest thing for me to do is leave. The hardest thing for me to do is leave the house every single friggin' day. Because bad things happen out there. It's so irrational. It's so incredibly.
You live in New York. It's not irrational. Bad. You're gonna pass a homeless person who will stab you. It's New York,
Yeah, it's
bad things will happen. So
yeah.
How did you? Let's move on to something happy. I mean, you were married for a bunch of years. Did you know that at that point you were bisexual? You did not admit to yourself, and now all of a sudden you're.
She and I were completely open with each other at the beginning, because she was the same way.
I watched that. Yes.
Well, I was only married for 3 years to her.
Oh, okay.
I'm going on 33 with this one.
Mazel tov. Yes.
I mean, he's as Irish Catholic as I was,
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm gonna say a special word for him: potato. Okay?
There you go. And there's no famine involved.
So, how did you meet your hubby?
He did a show at the Duplex.
Oh.
He was part of a comedy team, and they did a show at the Duplex in 1989.
Right.
And we started dating, and by 1990 we were together and moved in together in 92. And now we bought a house in 2004 in Jersey City.
Well, I was going to say Mazel Tov, but it's New Jersey, so I'll just say that.
No, it's another suburb. That's all,
So does he still do anything in the arts? I mean,
Not really. I mean, he still writes now and then, but his 9-to-5 job is a proofreader for copy at an ad agency.
Oh, all right. Someone's got to pay the bills.
Exactly.
and get health insurance. So this is a. So
oh yeah.
How did you manage that? Like, well, you've been married for 30 years, but were you ever worried about that as being in the arts and or were you paid by equity? Are you in equity? I don't know how this works.
No, I don't belong to a union. I'm one credit away from every union having to join.
Oh my God.
TV, stage, movies, you name it. If I get one more gig in those, union gig, I have to join. But no, he he decided he did one commercial that made him a good chunk of change for the Pep Boys. Remember Pep Boys, Manny Mo and
Manny
Jack?
Mo and Jack.
Yes,
And
exactly.
Yonkel, they don't talk about Yonkel so much, but
Yeah, Uncle,
it was different times, Yeah,
Uncle Pep. That's nice.
yeah, they had the pep. Let me,
Yeah,
let me. Oh, I'm sorry. What? Sorry.
no, he did that gig, and that was a sort of a down payment for the house.
Nice. Very
Yeah,
nice. And you must have the mortgage paid off by now. You probably have a very nice.
I, well, I think he redid it. He re-upped the mortgage to do some work on. It always needs work. Do you own your home?
At some point, I hope to again. I own my shul. I gotta hock everything. I hocked one of my payas. It finally grew back. But at least that bought like some accoutrements for the bathroom. So I was very.
Oh, sure, sure.
Let me ask, before we have people coming in, and Dave is going to come in and do the quiz with them and things. Let me ask you though. I think this was pretty recent that you are in the Guinness Book of World Records for doing the longest ever cabaret show. It was at the Metropolitan Room. What was this? Was that first band or what was all this?
Yeah, that was Bernie. Yeah, I forget what year it was, but they did this. I was involved in it. I wasn't there for all the hours because you would get 10 minutes over like 4 days. I think he did,
Okay.
and yeah, it was fun. It was. They would keep going over.
It was like 3 days long. It just kept right or something like
Yeah, I
that.
think Thursday to Sunday he did. It was amazing.
Huh. Well, it's kind of a long version of what you do every month at Don't Tell Mama, right? Like when people come to see your show, and I think it's what this Thursday is the next one.
It's Friday, the last Friday of every month.
Last Friday, right? May 27th, and also if you miss folks, this week you've got Friday, June 24th will be the next one at Don't Tell Mama over on 46th Street between 8th and 9th. But okay, so like if people come to see your show, what are they going to see?
Well, I do 3 Broadway shows
Yeah.
every month. 5 or 6 songs from each show, and I tell stories about it, and I tell the synopsis of what happens in the show and how it got to be written, and some cryptic remarks, and tell stories out of school about some of these shows. And I have a great cast that I cast every month from people in Cabaret usually. And the people that work at Mama's are a lot of it.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen. If people can go to your YouTube page, you actually have recorded a bunch of your.
I usually put them up. Every one of them are usually up
Right,
on
right. I think what's his name? The guy who runs Don't Tell Mama is and
Sidney
who
Meyer.
Sidney Meyer. He performs with you a lot, and he does a lot of those, which is really really cool. So yeah, I forgot to mention you should check out Ricky Ritzel's YouTube page to see an example of what you would see in person if you go this Friday. I know it's you had to pick Shabbos. It's on Shabbos night on Don't Tell Mama on West 46th Street. And what is it? It's $25 cover. You're gonna buy a couple of drinks anyway. You might as well. What a lovely way to spend a Friday night.
Exactly. It's so much fun. This week we're doing Destry Rides Again, the musical from 1958 with Andy Griffith. That was
He's not
his.
going to be with you on Friday, but
No,
yeah,
that
yeah,
was his musical debut on Broadway.
yeah.
And we're doing A Year with Frog and Toad, which was
I remember that. Yes,
ran for a couple of months on Broadway with Mark Lynn Baker
right.
and Young Frankenstein.
Oh, the Mel Brooks show.
Yeah,
That's so people will do a couple of songs from those shows,
right.
and you can hear them and you can see them if you go to Don't Tell Mama with Ricky Ritzel this Friday. What time? Like 7, 8?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Nice early curtain. You go out. You have some kosher food, and you have a wonderful night. Now I'm having a wonderful time talking to Ricky Ritzel, but alas and alack, I have to get back to my shul. A pipe broke. I have to mortgage off this other pay us. So But don't go away, and Ricky Ritzel, you do not go away, because Dave will be here, so will Leslie Hoban Blake and David Sheward to play the Today, Yesterday trivia quiz. I'm going to share the screen so that we can play a little bit more of Ricky Ritzel doing one of the all-time great theater songs by one of the late and I guess the greatest. Here is Ricky Ritzel doing a bit, just enough that we can get away with copyright on Facebook here, of I'm Still Here.